one of her best friends, who's a great product person, she just told me, oh, he quit his day job because his candy empire online that he was running on the side has grown so big that it's making more, like if he quits his day job and goes runs his online candy business that's gone global, it'll be like it generates more revenue and more income for him than continuing to be a product manager. But it literally was something he was like, there's all these candy brands that I can't find or I can't find them and get them shipped to me immediately, meaning like in, less than like either the same day or the next day. And he went and built this. And so now he's running a candy empire. I thought that was just like the best story ever. So apply that test hypothesis so that you can learn and de-risk. And then I'm going to end on my favorite topic, which is people matter. If the single most probably impactful thing for me in each of these job opportunities that I've had is who is around me. And if you all think about your day-to-day and the experiences that have been wonderful and rewarding and fulfilling and the ones that have been draining, I would guess that a good amount of it has to do with who was around you, and what the culture was like and what the values. So first that starts with you and understanding who you are and what matters. Has anybody read the book Designing Your Life? Anyone? Just one. Okay. My one book recommendation. I might have two in the Q&A, but my one right now is Designing Your Life. It's a class that two Stanford professors developed for undergrads, and it is applying design thinking, human-centered design, testing to your own life, not just career, but to your own life. And they talk about like taking stock and evaluating four things: your work, how fulfilling it is; play, do you have enough time for the things that you really love and you would do no matter what for fun; love, are the important people in your life, how close are you to them, how deep are those relationships, are you spending enough time there; and your health. And so I would say before you make big career decisions, I've had a lot of people come to me and say like, gosh, if I just got that next job, if I got promoted, if I was in the right company, like everything would be better. I'm just going to say from, my own experience and being part of lots of great people's lives, that often is not the silver bullet. Like if you don't start with yourself and how healthy you are on these four fronts, it's very hard to evaluate the next opportunity and make sure it fulfills all the aspects of what's important to your life. So the people part starts with you and you understanding and being honest with yourself on how you're doing on these and what your aspirations are. And the Designing Your Life book gives all kinds of good tips on measuring that and assessing that, and then testing ways to improve the ones that maybe not where you want them to be. Then if you do that, then you can be on the lookout for that company or idea with purpose, the values fit with people, a leader, a manager, a founder, a colleague, the culture, like how are decisions made, how do people treat each other, how does that fit with what you were looking for in your life, and then balance. Does it afford you enough time and space, and in fact, is it encouraged for you to spend time with the people that you love, for you to spend time learning how to be a beekeeper or making sure that homebrew is palatable. That's like step one, palatable. Step two, your friends actually ask you for more. Step three, there might be a microbrew side business for you. But you need to have enough time in your life to do that and a place that supports you. And then I would say you need to have a couple important people in your life. People always talk about like, do you have a mentor? And just going to challenge that a little. I think it's really hard to find one person or a couple people who can answer everything. Again, just like building a prototype and testing, I like having a few different people to go to. The first I would say is a role model, someone that they don't have to be a big exec or someone super impressive. They could just be someone that's doing something you find is super interesting. For me, earlier in my career, it was people, I was one of the few people at eBay who had a child when I was there in that era. And so I just looked around for people who were parents who seemed to, maybe had kids a couple years older than mine that seemed to be managing it in a way that wasn't killing them or their children, and like just ask them lots of questions on what they were doing. So a role model to me is just someone a few steps ahead that's doing it in a way that you really admire. Go pick their brain. They want to tell you their best practices, stuff to avoid, things to do and not do. And they can become such a great, career advisor for you too. The second is an advocate. What an advocate is when you are not in the room, who is speaking on your behalf. That is really, really important to understand. I did not understand that until I was a person in the room and we were all talking about all the people not in the room and who was going to get a promotion and who was going to get tapped on the shoulder to go run a new division. And it turns out if you're, I often thought in my career, if I just work really hard and I deliver results, people are going to notice and they're going to pay attention and I'm going to get that promotion. And it sounds so great and it's not the way the world works. It's not because people intend not to do that. They absolutely want to reward the people that are working really hard and driving results. It's often that people don't have visibility into it, right? They don't actually know what you're working on. They don't know what you care about. They don't know that your dream is actually to spend 2 years in Japan building something from the ground up. Because if they knew that, they would have asked you 2 weeks ago to go do that because that's an opportunity. And so figuring out who's in the room making those decisions and who you have a natural affinity to, just share what you're doing. It doesn't have to be self-promoting. It can be an exchange of knowledge and ideas. It could just be reaching out to that person and saying, hey, I totally admire how you're leading this part of the company. I would love to spend more time with you. I'd love to share with you what's important to me and some things I'm doing. I would love to get your feedback on what I'm doing. But having people in that room who are speaking for you is absolutely critical. And then the last is a coach. All professional sports players, top CEOs, people who are at the top of their game have a coach or multiple coaches. And what I mean by that, it could be someone that you do hire as a career coach. It could be someone that you've worked for that you really trust their advice, but that's what it is someone who's super honest with you. And when they give you feedback, you listen to it, even if it's hard to hear. And it comes from a place of genuinely wanting you to be better. If you don't have a person or several who are pushing you, I would say, go find them because it's very hard. It's very hard to self-reflect and self-teach and make those leaps in your career. So find at least those 3 people and be really nice to them and pay it forward. So I'm going to do a quick round because I think I've gone over my original allotted slide time. Lessons that I've lived. Take the recruiter call. I say this because, again, lots of times I hear people say, I'm too busy, I'm not looking. See it as just discovery. When there's tons of recruiters that I have great relationships with that I've never taken a single job that they've called me about, but I learn a ton about the market. I learn what compensation looks like. I learn what companies are looking for. And some of the very best recruiters in the industry, they build lifelong relationships. They care about your long-term career, and they want you to say, I have zero interest in the thing that you just called me about, but this is what I'm interested in. So when that hits your radar, give me a call. So definitely just take those calls. And then the second is you can always negotiate, and you should. And far too often in our careers, we don't negotiate, whether we're in the job or taking a new job. And so that's something that I really advocate, especially for women, especially for people of color. As a hiring leader, I would say systematically women did not negotiate their offers. And we left room for people to negotiate their offers. And so if we all want to change income inequality, we should support each other to negotiate and negotiate with confidence. And the last is having that product mindset. Foster the product mindset because it opens doors you wouldn't imagine being open. So I took an operation jobs at Zendesk. I had never run operations. So it was all internal facing at first and then support and then marketing. And the reason I got the job is the CEO and founder wanted somebody with a product mindset who could look at the opportunities, see the pain points, and be creative about how we solved it. If I hadn't taken that job, I wouldn't have ended up being the right candidate to take a board role at SendGrid when they were looking for someone to scale and who understood compensation. If I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to join the board at Asana, because then I'd been part of a public company and been on a compensation committee. And none of those necessarily had to do with being a product manager, but it had to do with having a product mindset and being curious, being open, and being willing to try new things. So I encourage all of you to do that. You already do that in your day job. And so, do it for your career, because that's ultimately what's going to matter most in your life. And with that, I'm going to turn it to Q&A. So, all right. Yes, this is one of my favorite quotes. All those who wander are not lost. It's about the journey.